Remember back in 2018 when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse swung its way into our hearts and snatched the title of the Spider Movie? Well, we're firing up for an even more fantastic ride with Across the Spider-Verse 5 years later. This sequel is seriously mind-blowing. It's sensational. It's spectacular. It's amazing, of course. Now all eyes are on Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, because this is the de facto part 2 of Across the Spider-Verse and the third installment in this webtastic franchise. After the Into the Spider-Verse back in 2018, we were only expecting one sequel. But by the end of 2021, Phil Lord and Chris Miller decided they couldn't just cram their epic story into one sequel. So they decided to split it into 2 mind-blowing parts. In this video, we're going to talk about when will this Spider-Spectacular feast crawl onto our screens, the original title, the cast, the plot, and much, much more. So keep watching. Everything we know about Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse was actually the original title chosen for the second film in the franchise. So, after the decision to split the sequel into 2 sizzling parts, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse emerged as the shining title for Part 1. But Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming in hot at number 3. Now, the great part about this split? The waiting time between these films will be as short as Spider-Man's temper when someone messes with his city. Now, remember when our Spidey dreams got tangled up because of the COVID-19 pandemic? It was like waiting for a spider to weave its web, slow and steady. So, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse finally swung into cinemas nearly 5 years after the first film. And since Beyond the Spider-Verse was announced back in 2021, it seems our Spidey sense is tingling with the hint that some of the work of this part might have been done simultaneously with Across the Spider-Verse. That's why we're on the edge of our seats for a possible speedy release. So, suppose the universe is kind, and everything goes according to plan. In that case, we should see our favorite web-slinger, Miles Morales, back on the big screen pretty soon. And speaking of the universe being kind, you won't believe this. Keep watching. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse release date. Just like Spider-Man swinging from one skyscraper to the next, we're flying high from one Spider sequel to another in no time. Because Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming our way on March 29th, 2024. Less than a year after the grand debut of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This quick turnaround has us all thinking that they've been spinning their magic movie web in the background for a while now. But there's a bit of a hiccup. Some fans are raising an eyebrow or two, wondering if Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse will actually stick to its landing on the anticipated release date. The directors are playing it as tight-lipped as our friendly neighborhood Spidey with his secret identity, choosing to celebrate the success of Across the Spider-Verse rather than spill the beans on the next film. And Haley Steinfeld, the voice of Spider-Gwen, surprised everyone by revealing that she hasn't even started recording lines for the sequel. Could this mean a delay? Well, until the spider signal flashes a big delayed across the sky, we're keeping our hopes high and our popcorn ready for that March 29th date. Beyond the Spider-Verse cast. Based on the grand finale of Across the Spider-Verse, it's safe to guess we'll be seeing a lot of familiar web-slinging faces. We're talking about Miles Morales, brought to life by Shameik Moore. Jerome is giving us an alternate Earth 42 Miles. Then we've got Uncle Aaron, voiced by Mahershala Ali, and Jefferson Morales, courtesy of Brian Tyree Henry. The spot's been shining bright, thanks to Jason Schwartzman, and Rio Morales, breathed into life by Luna Lauren Velez. Spider-Gwen, given spunk by Haley Steinfeld, and slightly washed-up Peter B. Parker, hilariously voiced by Jake Johnson. We've got Spider-Ham, the porkiest superhero, brought to us by John Mulaney, and Penny Parker, the anime-inspired Spider-Person, thanks to Kimiko Glenn. Nick Cage is throwing us back to the 30s with the Spider-Man noir, and Oscar Isaac brings the future with Miguel O'Hara. Issa Rae's got the Spider-Woman action going, while Amanda Stenberg gives us a bite-sized hero in Spider-Bite. Karan Soni is rocking the scene as Spider-Man India, and Daniel Kaluuya is jamming with Spider-Punk. Andy Samberg brings the drama with Scarlet Spider, and Lila comes to life thanks to Greta Lee. The plot of Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Now, we're still in the dark about the exact plot, but Across the Spider-Verse left us a trail of breadcrumbs that might just lead us to some juicy spoilers. First things first, the Spot is still kicking and more pumped up than ever by the end of the movie. And he's angry with Miles Morales' dad. That means our hero gotta make some moves to stop Spot before his dad becomes Spot's victim. But the spot isn't the only curveball in Miles' court. As he hop-skips across the multiverse, he bumps into a gang of spider people from every nook and cranny of the multiverse. They're on a mission to stop the whole multiverse from destruction. This ragtag team features some familiar faces from the first flick, plus some fresh new ones. But they're not exactly rolling out the welcome mat for Miles. See, the spider that gave Miles his powers in Into the Spider-Verse was an out-of-towner from a different dimension. So according to them, Miles isn't technically supposed to be Spider-Man. On top of that, our boy Miles is hell-bent on preventing a canon event, which are those pesky fixed moments that keep the multiverse running smoothly to save his dear old dad. So before Miles and his team can even take a swing at the spot, they've got a whole Spider People posse to deal with. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is shaping up to be a wild ride through fate versus free will. Who's the maker of Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse? Joaquim Dos Santos, the maestro behind The Legend of Korra, Kemp Powers, who lent his magic to Soul, and Justin K. Thompson of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs fame are likely hopping back in the director's chairs for Beyond the Spider-Verse. But the animated movie powerhouse duo Phil Lord and Chris Miller are at the producing helm again. These guys crafted the Lego Movie and Clone High. Basically, they're the Midas of animation. Also, they will be at the writing table along with David Callum, the mind behind Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. About the music, Daniel Pemberton, who gave us those ear-pleasing tunes in The Bad Guys, is back for more. Is there a trailer for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse yet? Well, we're in the same boat of anticipation. So far, there's no trailer, but here's some hope. Remember, the first look for Across the Spider-Verse was out in the wild as far back as December 2021. Originally, the sequels were named Part 1 and 2, but then they switched it up. We saw the first full trailer a year later, and then another sneak peek just a month before the release. So keep those spidey senses tingling, folks, because a trailer could be swinging our way any moment now. The Epic Tale of Miles. Lord and Miller spilled some tea by saying, Miles' story is an epic. We wrote what we thought the story needed to be, and to our surprise, we realized it was 2 movies instead of 1. Joaquim Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson recently chatted with Variety and dished out some hints about what's ahead. Apparently, Miles is staring down a problem in the 3rd film that's bigger and messier than a spider's web. Powers explained, it was really important to have this thing where Miles wants to save his dad, but then he's faced with the Pottersville version of a world that was created because of this thing that happened to him. Dos Santos jumps in saying, it's not going to be as simple as him wanting to just escape this world. He's going to try and do right by people who he feels he's done wrong by. And that just felt more potentially emotional and unpredictable as we go into the 3rd film. Dos Santos continued, it complicates his missing in a way that we hope people find unexpected and also thrilling. The multiverse provides us with some sort of sliding doors. It allows us to ask these questions like the head games you play with yourself. If I had done this instead of that, what happens? How does my life turn out? You get to see those things play out on screen, as Dos Santos puts it. But if you're looking for specific spoilers, well, good luck with that. Our directors and writers are zipped tighter than a spider in its cocoon. According to Powers, as Chris Miller said, anything is possible. That's all we can give you. We're just stoked to have finished this story in a way we're super proud of. Do you have any theories or wild ideas about where our spider friends are heading next? How excited are you about this next thrilling chapter in the Miles Morales story? Swing it down to the comment section and let your thoughts be known. Remember, this community thrives on sharing perspectives, so don't hold back. We want to hear your voice.